Ladies and gentlemen, life has a way of teaching us lessons. Sometimes the greatest lesson is to recognize when it's time to walk away. We often stay in situations, whether in relationships, friendships, or work, hoping that things will change, that somehow our worth will be recognized. But here's a truth we must never forget: if they can't see your value, it's time to step out. It's not about being arrogant, it's about knowing your worth. We waste so much energy trying to convince people of who we are. You don't need to shout, beg, or prove your existence to those who can't appreciate the light you bring. The moment you realize your presence is no longer valued is the moment you need to make the boldest decision of all: leave. Walking away doesn't mean you're weak. In fact, it takes more strength to leave behind what no longer serves you than to stay in a place where you're treated less than you deserve. The world is vast and your potential is limitless, but you'll never reach it if you keep clinging to those who don't see it. Respect yourself enough to know when it's time to say no more. Understand this: walking away isn't quitting, it's starting anew. It's stepping toward a future that honors the greatness inside you. So don't be afraid to walk away. Sometimes that's the only way to find where you truly belong. You've got to know who you are. Deep down at your core, you need to understand that your value doesn't come from anyone else, it comes from within. It's not about what people say you are or who they think you should be. It's about what you already know. When you walk into a room, you should walk in with your head high, not because you want others to notice you, but because you already notice you. Here's the truth: people will only treat you the way you let them treat you. If you keep allowing others to define your worth, then they'll put a price tag on you that's far lower than what you're actually worth. You have to be the one to set the standard. Don't wait for anyone to recognize your greatness. Recognize it yourself. You've got skills, talents, ideas, or voice things no one else can bring to the table but you. But if you don't believe in them, nobody else will either. Don't seek approval. You don't need a round of applause to validate your existence. The applause you need is the one inside your heart. When you know your worth, you won't settle for less. You won't stay where you're not appreciated, and you won't accept treatment that doesn't align with the value you bring. Understand this: your worth is non-negotiable. No one can take it from you. No one can diminish it unless you allow them to. You have to be so rooted in who you are that no matter what storms come your way, you remain standing. Life is full of people who will try to tear you down. But when you know your worth, you rise above it. You don't engage in petty battles. You don't beg for recognition. You don't lower yourself to fit into places where you're meant to stand out. There will always be moments when doubt creeps in, when you feel like you're not enough. That's when you remind yourself of the truth. Your value doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's inability to see it. You are enough. And you've always been enough. Don't forget that. When you know your worth, you make better decisions. You don't chase after people who treat you like an option. You don't waste time on things that drain your energy. You start investing in yourself, in your growth, in your peace. You stop looking outside for validation and start looking inside for fulfillment. And let me tell you something else: when you know your worth, you attract the right people. The ones who see you, who respect you, who appreciate the value you bring. But more than that, when you know your worth, you no longer need anyone else's recognition to feel whole. You walk through life with a sense of purpose because you know that your worth is inherent. It's unshakable. It's yours to own. So hold on to that. Hold on to the truth that you are more than enough, that you bring something unique to this world, something no one else can. And never settle for anything less than what you deserve. There's a power in silence that most people don't understand. When you stay quiet in moments when others expect you to react, that silence becomes louder than any words you could say. Sometimes the strongest message you can say is nothing at all. People are quick to speak, quick to argue, quick to defend themselves. But here's the thing: not every battle is worth fighting. Not every insult deserves a response. When you stay silent, you show control. You show that you're not moved by every little thing that comes your way. You let them speak, let them throw their words at you, but you stay calm because you know something they don't. Your silence speaks for itself. In a world full of noise, silence is a rare strength. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos, to feel like you need to prove something, to argue your point. But when you choose silence, you choose peace. You're telling the world, I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to convince you of my value. That silence says, I know who I am, and I don't need to speak to be heard. Silence doesn't mean weakness. In fact, it shows just how strong you are. It takes courage to hold back when others are coming at you, when they're expecting you to break. But silence, it frustrates them. They want a reaction. They want to know they've gotten under your skin. But when you give them nothing, they're left with their own noise, their own insecurities, their own emptiness. There's a time for words, no doubt. But there's also a time for silence. And when you master the art of knowing when to stay silent, you master yourself. It's in that stillness that you find your power. Because while they're wasting energy trying to bring you down, you're conserving yours, your focus. You're in control. Silence allows you to rise above the noise, to operate on a different level where not everyone can follow. Sometimes silence is the answer. It speaks of wisdom. It shows that you're not easily swayed, that you don't need to participate in the back and forth of petty arguments. It shows maturity. And trust me, people notice. When you don't give them the reaction they're looking for, you stand out. You stand firm. And in that moment, your silence is louder than any shout could ever be. But there's something else. Silence also creates space. It creates space for people to reflect on their own behavior. When you don't respond, they're left with their words, their actions, and sometimes that's the biggest mirror you can hold up to them. They start to wonder, why didn't they react? Why didn't they fight back? And in that wondering, they might start to see themselves differently. So don't underestimate the power of silence. It's not passive. It's not avoidance. It's a deliberate choice. It's a statement. And sometimes it's the most powerful thing you can do. When you stay silent, you stay in control. You own your energy, your peace, your dignity, and that's something no one can take from you. Letting go, it sounds simple, but we all know it's one of the hardest things to do. Whether it's a relationship, a dream that didn't work out, or a situation you've been holding on to for too long, letting go requires a different kind of strength. It's not about giving up. It's about recognizing when something is no longer serving you, when it's weighing you down more than lifting you up. See, there's a kind of courage in walking away from what's familiar, even when it hurts. It's easy to stay in a place that's comfortable, to keep holding on to people or situations that you've outgrown because it's what you know. But here's the truth: growth doesn't happen in comfort. Growth happens when you step into the unknown, when you release what's been holding you back and trust that something better is waiting on the other side. Holding on too long can drain you physically, emotionally, mentally. It can keep you stuck in a cycle that repeats the same frustrations, the same disappointments over and over again. But letting go, that's when you regain your power. When you let go, you stop pouring your energy into things that aren't giving anything back. You free yourself to focus on what truly matters, what truly adds to your life, not what takes away from it. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It's actually one of the strongest moves you can make. It takes strength to realize that holding on is hurting you more than it's helping you. It takes strength to say, I deserve more than this, and walk away from what no longer aligns with who you are becoming. Because letting go isn't just about losing something, it's about making space. Making space for new opportunities, new relationships, new growth. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of what no longer fits in your life and making room for what does. People fear letting go because it feels like loss. But the real loss comes from staying in situations that are no longer meant for you. Holding on to something that's already gone can blind you to what's trying to come into your life. You can't grab hold of something new if your hands are still clenched tightly around what's no longer there. Letting go allows you to open up, to receive, to trust that what's ahead is far greater than what's behind. It's not easy. It takes strength to look at something or someone you once cared deeply about and say, this no longer serves me. It takes strength to walk away with your head held high, knowing that you're not abandoning something, but instead choosing yourself. It's not about forgetting or pretending something didn't matter. It's about accepting that seasons change. And sometimes the hardest yet most necessary thing to do is move forward without what you thought would be part of your journey. There's freedom in letting go. It frees you from the grip of things that keep you small, that keep you from stepping into your full potential. When you let go, you release the fear, the doubts, the weight that's been pulling you down. You allow yourself to rise, to grow, to step into new possibilities. And with that freedom comes a new kind of strength to trust yourself, to trust the process, to trust that everything you're letting go of is making space for something better. It's about faith. Faith that you are enough. Faith that what's meant for you will never pass you by. And faith that letting go isn't the end of the story, but the beginning of a new one. Because sometimes the only way to truly move forward is to let go of the past. And in that moment, you find the real strength that was within you all along. Time is the one thing you can never get back. Once it's gone forever. People often talk about money, success, or fame, but none of that matters if you don't have time. Time is life's most precious resource because it's limited. We get a certain amount of it, and none of us knows how much we've got left. That's why how you spend your time is everything. Every second you waste is a second you'll never see again. It slips away quietly, moment by moment. And before you know it, you're looking back, wondering where it all went. That's why you've got to be intentional about how you use it. Don't spend your time on things that don't serve you, don't grow you, or don't push you forward. Too many people are living as if they've got an endless supply of time, but the reality is it's ticking away. Think about it. How many hours have you spent on things that didn't matter? How many days have you given to people who didn't appreciate it or to situations that only drained you? How much of your time has been wasted chasing after things that weren't meant for you? You can't afford to do that anymore. You've got to treat your time like gold because in truth, it's even more valuable than that. When you understand the value of time, you start to live differently. You stop giving your time to everyone and everything. You become selective. You become protective of your hours, your minutes, because you know they're priceless. You start spending time where it counts on the things and the people that help you grow, that elevate you, that push you toward your purpose. You invest your time in ways that build your future, not just pass the day. And here's the thing, nobody's going to protect your time for you. People will take as much of it as you're willing to give. It's your job to set the boundaries. It's your job to decide what's worth your time and what isn't. Not everything deserves a yes. Not every opportunity is meant to be seized because not every opportunity aligns with your purpose. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is no, because every no to something unimportant is a yes to something that truly matters. Time waits for no one. While you're thinking about what you should do, while you're hesitating, while you're holding back, time is moving. It doesn't pause for you to figure it out. So you've got to make your moves now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. Don't wait for everything to be lined up just right. The longer you wait, the more time slips through your fingers. Take action now, even if it's small steps. Progress is better than standing still, and standing still is just letting time pass you by. And let's be real, some people and situations are just not worth your time. You know it deep down. You feel it when you're around them. They drain you, they take from you, and they give nothing in return. That's time you could be using to build something meaningful, to work on yourself, to create a life that reflects your true potential. Don't waste it trying to please people who don't value your time the way you should. When you realize how precious time is, you start living with urgency, not panic, but urgency. You understand that every day is an opportunity and you don't have the luxury of squandering it. You start pursuing your goals relentlessly. You start focusing on what really matters. You stop procrastinating, stop putting things off for tomorrow because tomorrow isn't promised. Time is the great equalizer. We all get the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't often comes down to how they use that time. Successful people don't waste it. They prioritize, they plan, they stay focused. They understand that time is their most precious asset and they treat it that way. So take a good look at how you're spending your time. Are you using it wisely or are you letting it slip away? Are you investing it in things that bring you closer to your goals, or are you throwing it away on distractions? Because at the end of the day, when the clock runs out, the only question you'll have to answer is, Did I make the most of the time I had? Make sure your answer is yes. You don't owe anyone an apology for being who you are. Too often, people feel the need to shrink themselves, to water down their personality, to fit into boxes other people create. But life is too short for that. You've got to own who you are unapologetically. Every flaw, every quirk, every strength, it's all part of what makes you unique, and that's your power. It's easy to fall into the trap of seeking approval. From the time we're young, we're taught to fit in, to follow the crowd, to play by the rules that someone else wrote. But here's the thing, those rules weren't made for you. You've got your own path to walk, your own journey to follow, and that means you can't afford to live your life based on someone else's expectations. When you start apologizing for being yourself, you give away your power. You send the message that you're not enough as you are. But let me tell you something, you are more than enough. You were created with purpose, with intention, with something special that nobody else has. There's only one you in this entire world, and that alone makes you irreplaceable. People will try to make you feel like you need to change. They'll tell you to be quieter, to be smaller, to be different, because your light makes them uncomfortable. But you don't dim your light just because it's too bright for someone else. You don't make yourself small just to make others feel big. Their insecurities are not your problem. Your responsibility is to be true to yourself, to be the fullest, most authentic version of who you are, no matter who can't handle it. There will always be critics, always be people who don't like what you stand for, who don't understand your choices, your personality, your drive. But here's what you've got to understand, that's their issue, not yours. You don't need everyone's approval to live your life. In fact, if you're living authentically, you won't have everyone's approval. That's just how it works. You weren't meant to blend in with the crowd. You were meant to stand out. Stop apologizing for having a voice. Stop apologizing for wanting more, for dreaming big, for aiming higher than what others think is possible. When you apologize for being yourself, you start to question your own worth, and that's the quickest way to lose sight of who you really are. Your dreams, your passions, your desires, they were given to you for a reason. They're part of your path. And if someone else can't see that, it's not your job to make them understand. It's your job to keep moving forward with or without their approval. There's a kind of freedom that comes with accepting yourself fully. When you stop apologizing for who you are, you free yourself from the need to be liked, the need to be liked, the need to be accepted, the need to conform. You start living life on your own terms, and that's when the real magic happens. You start attracting the right people, the right opportunities, because you're no longer hiding behind a version of yourself that isn't real. The world needs the real you, not the version that tries to please everyone. And let's be clear, being unapologetically yourself doesn't mean you don't make mistakes or that you don't have areas where you can grow. We're all works in progress, but growth comes from a place of self-love, not self-doubt. When you love who you are, you're willing to grow, to evolve, to get better, but you do it for yourself, not because someone else made you feel like you weren't good enough. So stop apologizing for your ambition. Stop apologizing for your confidence. Stop apologizing for taking up space, for having opinions, for standing your ground. The world may not always like it, but that's not your concern. Your concern is to live in a way that honors who you truly are. And when you do that, you won't need to apologize. You'll walk through life with a sense of purpose, a sense of clarity, and an inner peace that no one can take away from you. Being you is your superpower. Don't ever let anyone make you feel like you need to apologize for that. Absence has a power that many people fail to recognize. It's not just about being physically away from someone or something. It's about the space you create when you step back, the silence that fills the void when you choose not to engage. In that absence, a unique strength is revealed. It can be transformative. When you pull back, you allow others to feel your absence. Suddenly, they have to confront the reality of what they took for granted. Your presence, your energy, your contributions, it all becomes clearer when it's no longer there. People often overlook what they have until it's gone. Absence can serve as a mirror, reflecting the value you brought to their lives. It forces them to reassess, to reconsider, to appreciate what they had and lost. But let's not forget the power of your own absence, too. When you realize your worth, you understand that there are times when stepping away is necessary. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to create distance from people or situations that don't align with who you are or where you're going. It's about self-respect. It's about valuing your own energy and time. When you withdraw, you set a standard. You send a clear message that you will not be taken for granted. Absence can also be a catalyst for growth, both for you and for others. When you choose to step away, it creates space for reflection. It's an opportunity for both parties to evaluate what's important. In your absence, people may start to realize what they truly value. They might begin to understand the impact you had, the lessons you shared, and the support you provided. And sometimes that realization can be the turning point in relationships, igniting a desire for change and improvement. But there's power in your own absence as well. When you remove yourself from toxic situations, you reclaim your energy. You stop pouring yourself into places that drain you, that leave you feeling less than who you are. And in that space, you find clarity. You give yourself the chance to breathe, to think, to reflect. You can reassess your priorities, your goals, and your desires without the noise of others clouding your judgment. Absence can also protect you from negativity. When you step back from people or environments that don't serve your growth, you shield yourself from the energy that can hold you back. You create a sanctuary for yourself, a safe space to recharge and refocus. In that absence, you cultivate self-love and self-care. You begin to recognize that your presence is a gift, and not everyone is worthy of receiving it. And here's the reality: absence is not always about leaving. Sometimes it's about knowing when to take a break, when to step back and let things breathe. It's about understanding that your presence doesn't always need to be felt. You don't have to be at every gathering, in every conversation, in every situation. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to simply say, I need some time for me. In this world of constant connectivity, absence can be a radical act. It challenges the norms of always being available, always being plugged in. When you choose to step away, you reclaim your time. You prioritize what truly matters. You allow yourself the freedom to explore, to grow, and to find your own path without the expectations of others weighing you down. Let's be clear, your absence doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're wise. You're wise enough to know that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to create distance, to step away, and to allow space for transformation. In that absence, you find your own strength. You discover what you really want, who you really are, and what matters most. So don't fear absence, embrace it, recognize the power it holds, use it to create space for yourself, for growth, for clarity, because in that space, you might just find the answers you've been searching for, the strength you didn't know you had, and the realization that sometimes stepping away is the bravest thing you can do. In life, every ending is a new beginning. It's a cycle we all experience, whether we realize it or not. When you close one door, you make room for another to open. But here's the thing: too often, we cling to doors that should have been closed long ago. We hold on to past experiences, relationships, and habits, thinking that if we just keep them open, we might regain what we lost or recapture some sense of comfort. But the truth is, by holding on, we stifle our growth. We limit our potential. Let's face it, change is hard. It can feel uncomfortable and scary. But staying in a situation that no longer serves you can be even harder in the long run. It's like trying to fit into clothes that no longer fit. You're cramming yourself into something that restricts you, holds you back, and doesn't allow you to breathe. You've got to recognize when it's time to let go. When you close those old doors, you free yourself. You give yourself permission to step into something new, something better. Closing doors can mean many things. It might mean walking away from a toxic relationship that drains your energy. It might mean leaving a job that doesn't fulfill you or align with your goals. It could even mean letting go of old beliefs or habits that no longer reflect who you are. Each time you close a door, you send a message to the universe that you're ready for change. You're ready to move forward, and you're ready to embrace what's next. And here's the beauty of it: when one door closes, another opens. It's not just a saying, it's a law of nature. Think about the times in your life when you've experienced a loss. Maybe it felt like the end of the world at that moment, but looking back, you can see how that loss created space for something better to come in. Sometimes you have to let go of what's comfortable to step into something extraordinary. Those old doors can hold you back from the opportunities that are waiting for you just on the other side. When you close a door, you invite new possibilities into your life. You open yourself up to experiences and people that align with your growth and your purpose. Every time you take that courageous step to shut something down, you open the floodgates for new experiences, fresh ideas, and new connections. You give yourself the opportunity to explore what else is out there, to find what truly resonates with who you are becoming. But it's not always easy. Fear can creep in, whispering doubts and insecurities in your ear. What if you make the wrong choice? What if you close the wrong door? What if nothing else opens up? Those questions can be paralyzing. But here's the truth: the greatest risk is not taking one. The greatest risk is staying stuck, remaining in a situation that doesn't serve you. The greatest risk is letting fear dictate your actions instead of your dreams. When you take the leap to close old doors, you reclaim your power. You assert control over your life. You tell yourself that you are the one driving your journey, not your past. Each door you close is an act of courage, a declaration that you deserve better, that you are ready for more. And in that act of closing, you ignite the spark of potential within you. I think about the opportunities that await you when you embrace change, new friendships, new adventures, new insights into who you are and what you want out of life. You never know what awaits you on the other side of that closed door. It might be something that changes the entire trajectory of your life, something that propels you forward in ways you never imagined. So don't fear the act of closing doors. Embrace it. Celebrate it. Recognize it as a crucial part of your journey. Every door you close creates a space for new opportunities, new relationships, and new experiences that are more aligned with who you are today. Trust that when you let go, you're making room for something greater, something that will elevate you, challenge you, and inspire you. Remember, life is a series of transitions. Each closed door is simply a part of your story, a chapter that leads to the next great adventure. So take a deep breath, gather your courage, and close those old doors. Because what's waiting for you on the other side is worth it. It's time to step boldly into the new, to embrace the unknown, and to discover the incredible possibilities that lie ahead. Walking away isn't the end of the story, it's just the beginning of a new chapter where you're finally writing your own destiny. Step forward because you're worth it.